Hey there friends, welcome back to a very special edition FlossTube video with me today. My name is Liz, my company is Hello from Liz Mathews, and today I celebrate my 1-year business anniversary. This year has been one for the record books in so many ways, you guys, but I can just tell you that it has been the most amazing, magical, dream-fulfilling year for me, despite the cancellations, what's happening in the world. It has just been so wonderful, and I have you to thank for it, because if it weren't for you guys, I would not be where I am today, celebrating this milestone and looking forward to the future with such hope, happiness, excitement, inspiration. And I want to give back to you today and say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being along on this journey with me as we celebrate the big one milestone. I have a few things planned today, January 6th, 2021, that are fun, that I want to invite you to tune into, to watch. You know, today is, I'm posting this video, which you are obviously watching. I also wanted to let you know that there is going to be an Instagram live session tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are on Instagram and not following me, you can find me at Hello from Liz Mathews. That's my handle. Mathews is spelled with just one T. And I'm also delivering a newsletter to your inbox as you watch this. Now, all of these things, this FlossTube video that you're watching, the Instagram live session tonight, which I will save for 24 hours. I think that's the limit. So you can watch it even if you can't tune in live. And the newsletter will have something very special, very thankful in it for you. So I hope you check all three out as just a small way to celebrate with me and a way for me to say thank you to you. In addition to those three things that I'm doing today, by the way, I am filming this on January 5th. So if I get my days mixed up, or if I say tomorrow when I really mean January 6th, please forgive me. I just wanted to be prepared and be sure that I could hit publish on everything so that we could celebrate all day tomorrow. In addition to those three things I just told you about, I also am happy to announce that our new website went live this morning. It is not fancy. It is not the bells and whistle kind of website. It is built by me, doing the best I can. Technology, nothing has the ability to frustrate me like technology, yet it also has the ability to just make my day. Like sitting here connecting with you virtually makes my day. Building a website, not so much. But I am happy to say a very basic website is now available at www.Hello from Liz Mathews. Again, that's Mathews with one T. And the reason we decided to do this website now is because I wanted a permanent place and collection. I don't think that's the right word. I wanted a permanent place and cohesive place for two things. One is all of the freebies that I have published so far, and two are all of the corrections for the designs that I have. There are 3 for the first year, I'm sad to say. We're not going to focus on that today. I just wanted to let you know that you can find all of that information in one easy peasy place. They are both tabs on my website, available now. So that is kind of my news that I wanted to share with you as we do this celebration together. I should have popped some champagne. It would feel better to have something in my hand. I feel so, I don't know, so focused on me, which is never comfortable for me. But I am chilling the champagne for tonight. I will pop it for our live, again, that's at 7 p.m. But one thing I can do and offer you, although it's not a glass of champagne, is a giveaway. How about that? I want to say thank you for everything that you have brought to me this year, because if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't have had the year I had. Truly believe that. So I would like to host a giveaway for 10 winners. 10 winners will receive any 3 of my charts that are already published that I will send to you. just as a thank you. You just let me know what you want to stitch, what you want to stash, maybe something you want to share with a friend, because you know, because sharing with your friends is good, and you guys are my friends and I like sharing with you. Without getting sappy and emotional, maybe you could do that with one of your charts if you win. Anyway, that was a tangent, wasn't it? 10 winners will receive 3 Hello from Liz Mathews charts of their choice. This giveaway is open both domestically and internationally. International winners will win PDF copies of the charts, not the paper copies, because shipping here in the States, particularly in Maryland, in the area that I live, it's not good. It's not good still. So if you're international, the best way for me to guarantee that you get the charts that you win is to send PDF charts. Now, if you are domestic, I will send paper copies. Unless you prefer PDF, you can let me know. But again, it's whatever 3 charts you would like. How do you enter, you ask? Well, I am going to use the YouTube comment generator program that everybody uses, searching the word one, O-N-E. I'm going to search the word one, and I will ask you to just leave any comment. I don't even care. This is just for me to give back to you. Leave any comment using the word one, and that is your entry. I will have this giveaway run for 1 week. So today is January 6th. This will close on January 13th. I will contact the winners based on their comment on YouTube and let you know you won, and we will figure out how to get your charts to you. But thank you, thank you, thank you. Good luck to you, and I am happy to share these charts and the happiness with you. Okay, so sorry you guys, I had to make some adjustments, but in addition to the giveaway that I just talked about, I wanted to let you know that I have more good things coming for you a little bit later in this video, so stay tuned. I think you'll like it. Natural winker right here. So I wanted to do just a quick recap of this year, because it's been so all over the place. It has been quite a year. You know, the world has been dealing with a lot of sadness and unknowns, and you know, but I have been able to just keep my head down and focus on growing this little business of mine, and I am so thankful that I have had it, and that you guys have encouraged and inspired me and welcomed me and let me just keep working. It has been just the best year ever. So I want to bring it back to where it all began, January 6th, 2020. I remember, you know, I had this plan and I was going to launch this business because I had just left my job of 10 years, and we were kind of like, what are we going to do? Are you, meaning me, going to find another job? Are you going to do this bit? Like, what are you going to do? So I remember having this plan and getting my agenda book out, and Joe and I being like, when do we launch? When do we launch? January 6th it is. So I got to work and I got my first designs ready for publication and launch for that day. Now, my first designs were actually 5 designs that I published way back when I was like 16, 17, 18 in 1999, 2000, and 2001, when I put out 25 designs, cross-stitch designs, under the business name Elizabeth's Garden. Because if you didn't know, my mom is Kathy Barrick, who has been in the industry for a very long time, and she helped me build this little business that was a young division of Barrick Samplers. So I took the 5 best, most liked, most, you know, the most popular designs from Elizabeth's Garden, and I reworked them, made sure they were still kind of suited to the market today, made some changes, and released those 5 designs in January of last year. From then, I was like, this business is going to happen. This is it. This is where I belong. All the stars are aligning, meant to be. So I put my head down and I worked towards market in March of 2020. Now, I don't know if most people would know this unless you attended market, but market happened in Nashville, and it was a week after a tornado hit Nashville and 2 weeks before the country shut down. I am so thankful that we were able to have Market 2020. I don't know what this year would have looked like without it, and it was an absolute highlight of the year for me. And I'm so glad it happened. So at Market, I had 12 designs released, and it was the first time I was designing new things, original Hello from Liz Mathews things, in addition to putting out a couple reproduction samplers. So it was really fun to see shop owners' reactions to my aesthetic now, and I felt like I was on cloud 9 every single moment that I was at Market. It just felt so good and right and exciting and like where I was meant to be. As I said already, I really mean it. And Market also allowed me to meet other designers and shop owners, and it was such a happy place. So that was March, and I just continued to work on from there. As soon as we got home, things started shutting down, and that was hard, and we all coped with that. But with the shutdown also came the rise of Skypes and Zooms and WebEx meetings, which were all completely new to me, but were actually such a silver lining of this weird year, because I now have good girlfriends who live all over the country that I can sit down and share my hobby and my passion with, who let me talk for way too long about thread colors and linens and the things that I love, all because of technology and the need and the desire for connections in a time that we weren't getting the face-to-face connection. So I know it sounds so weird to say I'm so grateful for that need, but I am, because that has been such a fun part of the year and really inspires things like my Instagram live that I'm gonna do tonight, so I can get to know you guys and we can chat from wherever your home may be with whatever you may have in your hand stitching. We're gonna chat and get to know each other and celebrate together tonight. So that was, just this thing that kept me going throughout the year. In addition to that, or I guess it's not really in addition to that, I'm just going back and replaying the year in my head. So moving on from the rise of virtual connections, the decline of IRL connections, I also made a huge business investment that really allowed me to thrive this year, and that is Princess Katerina Syne. That's right, I got my big industrial printer in, I believe it was August this year, and that was a big milestone for my business, one that I didn't think that I would be able to achieve for a couple years. But that not only allowed me to print from home safely, quickly, it allowed me to turn over orders more quickly. Sorry, I'm getting like business sidey on you, but it was just a big bit of happiness in the year. So I have to mention Princess if we're doing a year-end recap. So throughout the whole year, throughout Princess's arrival, throughout the shutdown, throughout my virtual Zooms, I was stitching my fingers to the bone. I never thought that I would rely on, appreciate, and find stitching to be so therapeutic, helpful, sanity inducing. you guys know, you know for sure. But I have just stitched my fingers to the bones this year, enjoying all of those aspects of cross stitching. So much so that I was able to release at the end of the year, when you add it all up, 38 designs in my first year. That is a lot. I'm tired just saying that, but I want to do it all again. It was all so much fun. And that number really wows me. 38 designs in 2020. I also published 5 newsletters, which I really love. It feels like I'm writing you a little personal letter. I mean, that is essentially what a newsletter is, but it's like you're my pen pals, and I love sending newsletters out, and I hope that you like the one that's in your inbox right now. I also was able to publish, from the comfort of my home, 36 floss tube videos, which is really hard to believe as well. That's a lot of videos, and I look forward to sharing even more with you in the new year. I do have to say, I think this is probably going to be my favorite floss tube episode ever. This celebration is just one to remember. So thank you for allowing me to do all of those videos with you, for allowing me to bring you those charts, for being excited about them, all the things. So that was my 2020. I am knee deep in new designs for the new year coming out in March, and I hope that I continue to improve and get better. I hope that you continue to like what I bring to the market, and I hope I can keep it fresh and exciting for you. So, speaking of things I can do for you, I am launching a new smalls series that are all 100% free to you. They are freebies that are going to be included in my newsletters throughout 2021. Now, these aren't just any smalls. These are going to be smalls that are inspired and adapted from my favorite designs of the past year. They are in celebration of the prolific year I had, and a way for me to give back to you again. I love giving back to you. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about with the Hope Celebration Small, which is the first in the series. This is what it looks like. Let me get it closer to you. Now, some of these motifs might look a little familiar, and they are, because the flowers and the font are taken from the very first original cross-stitch piece I designed for Hello from Liz Mathews, which is Bowerbirds. So these flowers are taken from that already published design, as well as the font. And I just reworked it into this new pattern and design for you, which is included in that email that is already in your inbox if you are a subscriber. If you are not, maybe you want to subscribe now, because this is the first of many that will be coming to you this year. Let me show you a little bit closer and we will break this down. So, as I said, this is the font from the alphabet that was on the Bowerbirds chart. And I chose to go with the word hope because isn't that what January is full of? Hope. Particularly this year, it's just like a fresh, new start, hopeful time of year. And I thought, since this was coming out in January and it's the first of the series, that was the perfect word to use. So this is stitched on 36 count dove linen from Weeks Dye Works. I used one strand of that Karen Wildflowers by Karen thread that I showed you in my haul of the last floss tube video that I published, floss tube number 38. It is a heavyweight matte cotton, so I used just one strand with a 24 needle over 2 threads of linen. And then let's chat finishing real quick. This whole series came about because I am awful at charting and putting out smalls. So I wanted to challenge myself to do a series of smalls. not only for the design in miniature aspect, but also for the finishing of smalls. I need to learn how to do them. They're so fun and quick and like instant gratification that I wanted to do this series. So finishing, as I said before, all I did was stretched my finished piece on foam core just as I do for any framing job that I have. And then on the back, after I stretched the linen over the foam core, I put a piece of cardstock scrapbook paper. This is from a Tim Holtz bundle. And I just hot glue was my best friend in this project. The paper on top of the linen, which I carefully wrapped over the foam core. And then I took this thread, which is actually a DMC pearl cotton thread. It's not the same Caron thread that I used in this piece, but I used the DMC pearl cotton thread and ran it 4 times. I ran it 4 times around the edge and hot glued it. Hot dog hot glue. And then for the top, I used those same pieces of pearl cotton thread, cut 3 pieces equal length, knotted them, and then this is just a straight pin that holds that knot in the foam core. And there it is. Hope, celebration, small. Celebration because we are celebrating this year of designs. So, how do you get this freebie, you may ask? Well, as I already said, it is a free PDF download available in your newsletter, and that is the only place that you can get it. It is not going to be a link anywhere else except for within my newsletter, because I really do want you guys to subscribe. And what you will get when you click the download, sorry, they're picking up recycling outside if you hear anything. This is what you will get if you click the download. It is a cover sheet, not unlike all of my other cover sheets. If you can print it in color, this is what it will look like. And then you have the chart with all of the information. So it's a 2-page PDF download available for you now. Let me quickly give you the information about this more than I already have. I said it was 36 count dove linen, 1 strand of Caron thread in the colorway Redwood. The stitch count is 59 wide by 65 high. And there is a little blurb on this chart that says that it was inspired by the already published design Bowerbirds, and that it is exclusive to newsletter subscribers and should not be reproduced or distributed, please. Now, maybe you just saw this and you were like, that doesn't look like what she showed me. And that is correct, because when I went to chart this small, the first celebration small in the series, I charted it 2 ways and then couldn't decide which way I preferred and wanted to stitch. But after charting it 2 ways, I was like, well, I'm not just gonna ditch the other way, I'm gonna give it to my friends too. So this chart has the pattern for what I showed you, my FFO, and it also has another version where hope is written horizontally, and it's a long version. I am very anxious for someone to stitch that so I can see what it looks like all finished. But with this particular freebie, you get 2 for the price of 1. And if you're curious, this un-FFO'd pattern is 80 wide by 37 high, would be a little bit more of a quick stitch than this. As you can see, I still haven't gotten very good at doing minis because I guess this isn't all that mini. But hey, we have more celebration smalls to come this year. We'll see if I can shrink it a little more. But that is just one exciting thing that I wanted to share with you and hope that you enjoy for this year. And a big thank you to you again. I feel like I've said thank you a lot. but I truly do mean each and every single one. So when I sat down to do the notes for this video, there was just a lot of reminiscing and reflecting on this first year in business, the highs and the lows, and that kind of led me to a lot of hopes and dreams and ways I can improve in the new year. And while I'm not going to share all of my business goals with you, for which there are many, there are a few things that I wanted to share with you as we move into the new year with Hello from Liz Mathews. Some hopes I have include attending retreats and meeting you guys in person. I have never attended any retreat at all. So my very first one is scheduled for June. It is StitchCon, and I am over the moon excited. I can't wait. In addition to that, I am also looking forward to growing this business, not as a one-woman show, but I'm hoping to turn this into more of a family business. Joe has been behind the scenes this whole year, encouraging me, cheering me on, and telling me to go for it. So in the new year, I think you'll be seeing, or maybe even hearing, a bit more from him as he kind of steps in and joins me in the ways that he can. And I'm really excited to see how that looks, what ways they are, but I feel very lucky to have him as a partner, and I want him to share in all of the happiness with me. So there are a couple, well, there are more than a couple improvements I think I could make, but I didn't want to let this whole video be like, yay, 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 because I am a realistic girl, and I know that there are things that I can improve on, like my scheduling. Keyword there is realistic scheduling. I am so guilty of telling you something is going to happen one day with high hopes, and it just not happening. So I want to dial back my scheduling to a realistic level, which is actually very hard for me because I get so excited about something that I need to just check myself. Also, I want to improve my follow-ups with people. It's something that I hope to improve upon. Thank you if you have reached out to me, and I apologize if there has not been a follow-up. I am most guilty of not following up with everybody on my FlossTube videos. I look at the comments. I love getting the comments, and I hope in the new year that I can send more personal messages for all of the comments and kind words that you guys leave on all of my social media platforms. I will do better, you guys, I promise. So there are just a few things, changes, improvements, goals for the new year with Hello from Liz Mathews. Now, before I wrap this video up with the last little segment that I'm leaving you with, I want to give a thank you to my mom, Kathy Barrick, because this year would not have been possible without her. She's amazing. She's amazing, you guys. Her encouragement, her excitement, her inspiration, I love her so much, and I thank her from the bottom of my heart. This year has been made so much better because I get to do this alongside her and, ask her questions and bounce ideas off her and be excited with her. So here's just a big shout out to you, Mom. I love you so much. Thank you for helping me do this. I certainly wouldn't be here without you today. So with that, I'm going to leave you with my virtual trunk show. Surprise! This has been the year of canceled trunk shows. It just is what it is. But I do have to say that right now, my trunk show is out. It is at Situate in Ohio. So before I sent that off in December, I sat down and we went through every single pattern I released in 2020. Except for one, I forgot Auld Lang Syne. So you're not going to see that in this virtual trunk show, but just know that it does exist. I hope you like looking at all of these pieces. It was really kind of surprising to see exactly what 38 pieces looks like. and to also recall how much I enjoyed stitching all of these pieces, aside from the ones that my amazing model stitchers did for me. So I am gonna leave you with that, and the biggest virtual celebratory hug. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. You guys have made this year so amazing, and I look forward to seeing you next year for the 2nd anniversary video. It's hard to imagine where we'll be then, but I wish you all the best. I hope that you are able to join me tonight on my Instagram live, and until my next floss tube video, guys, stitch on, be well, take care, and thank you. Okay guys, we are just gonna dive right into my virtual trunk show. I do have these in order of how I released them this past year, and it is like I'm just surrounded by all of this happiness and like a dream come true and hard work, and it feels amazing. So we are gonna take it way back to, I think, November of 2019, when I decided that, sure, I've published some cross stitch designs. I had been doing punch needle and loving punch needle, but kind of felt like I needed to transition into the cross stitch market for my full-time business. So at that point, I released 2 of my trees, the beginning of my trees. These are 2 of 3 patterns that I had done in punch needle that I converted to cross stitch. This is the Friendship Quilt Tree and Iced Winter Tree. They came out November 2019, and it was the beginning of everything. I was way addicted to cross stitch as soon as I started putting my stitches in, and the rest kind of grew from there. So there are those 2. And then from this point on, I was working towards a release in January. It was January 6th that I released 5 cross stitch designs that I had previously put out 20 years ago in 1999 and 2000 under the business name Elizabeth's Garden. It was a young division of Barrack Samplers, and I put out maybe 20 designs at that point, and there were some real hits there, and there are some that I look at now and I'm like, oh, should have kept working on that one. But I took the 5 best ones, the 5 that I loved and really wanted to present again, and re-released them on January 6th of 2020. We'll go through them and I'll tell you what I changed about some of them, but this is just a really good batch of memories. This is Nighttime in Old Town. I did a lot of changes to this one. The color palette, for one, I think it was originally stitched on black linen, so that changed. The whole palette changed, the borders, and when I was looking at the original piece from 1999, I left off like a whole line of alphabet. And I had no idea. So I'm so sorry if you got this all those years ago and thought I was crazy. I was, apparently. I also brought back Be Kind, Be True. This is another piece that was stitched on black originally. I guess I was really into that look. So I changed the color palette on this. I changed the grass and a few other things, and I love how this turned out. So appropriate for the spring season, and the sentiment of being kind, appropriate anytime. I love it. New England Reindeer. This is a reproduction in a duochromatic color palette. Really simple, and it's just a repeated pattern in all 4 quadrants. New England Reindeer. Let's see, there's 2 more from this January batch. One is Nantucket Sampler. This was the 2nd most popular piece from Elizabeth's Garden, so it was kind of a no-brainer. And I changed just a few things, but I did change some things. I love it. And lastly, most popular for sure, is Pennsylvania Bird. It was the first piece that I recharted. I actually had a model stitcher work on this for me, and there she is. Minimal changes to this from when I first released it in 2000. Just like a few stitches, maybe one color, not much at all. But that was the batch in January that started everything. And while I was releasing that, I was also thinking ahead to market, because I knew at that point that I would be attending market, and I was putting all of my eggs in one basket. I just launched this business, and it was kind of like, go hard or go home. What's that phrase? You know what I'm trying to say. So I attended market in March of 2020 with 12 new cross stitch designs. It felt like my big reveal and like meeting the market for the first time, because they were my original designs. I think I had one that was like a redesign, a re-release, but most of the pieces that I'll show you now were original, and it was the first time I think people got to like meet me and my designs and see my aesthetic as it is in the year 2020. So this is what I came to market with. I continued the tree series and made it a seasonal thing. So the first two that you saw, I call my winter trees. These are my spring trees. Can she do it? Yes, she can. I brought 3 trees to market. This is the spring quilt tree. You'll see that I have a quilt themed tree in all of my seasonal tree release batches. Spring quilt tree, loved how that stitched up with the Weeks Dye Works overdyed threads there. This is May Flowers tree, was the most popular of this season's trees. And Swan Tree. It took a minute. Swan Tree is interesting because I loved stitching this so much that I chart it as a rectangle. So if you choose not to finish it as a 3-dimensional tree, you can finish it as a sampler. Frame it. So those were my 3 tree spring releases at market. I also released Hold Fast. This is a cross stitch version of a pattern I released in punch needle. So if you're a punch needle artist, you can also get this in that format. Just a sweet little anchor. It's actually a reproduction. I'm sorry you can't see it. It's in my like china cabinet of curiosities behind me. A little swatch of an antique stitched piece, swatch of an antique sampler that my mom gave me that has this anchor and the flowers on it that I love so much that I wanted to reproduce. So that's what that is. Then let me get situated here. Continuing with my 12 market releases, we have Fraktur Bees. I love this piece, and this is my all-time favorite frame, I think, oddly enough. Fraktur Bees design came to me in an actual dream when I was dreaming, and I woke up and I thought for sure it was something that mom put out. She said no, and I released it. We have Motif Sampler, which is a reproduction of a Pennsylvania German sampler that I purchased and wanted to bring to market. Love the color palette and all the motifs in here. Carnation Sampler. This is one of the only re-release of something from Elizabeth's Garden that I brought to market. I just thought it was so charming. I changed maybe 1 or 2 colors. I think this is such a fun piece. I also have Yonder. Love it. I love Yonder. The arrows, the orientation, the direction orientation symbols. I like it. Oh, I forgot to finish stitching inside that tulip though. Discovered that after it went to print and was stretched and framed. Bowerbirds. This is an extra special piece to me, Bowerbirds, because it is the first piece that I designed knowing that this was going to be my new business, my new field, Bowerbirds was it. And it's so funny because I look at it now, and even in pictures, the stitching leaves a lot to be desired. My stitching has improved dramatically over the past year, and you know, having stitched 30 plus pieces this year, it's gotten a lot better. But I really, really love this piece, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. This is on Dove Linen. I get a lot of questions about that from Weeks Dye Works. Love that muted blue, gray, green look. I just think it's so pretty. Then we have Charleston with those tall Marge Simpson flower urns and 3 little sweet scenes in the middle. Sorry, there's a lot to keep track of here. A couple more from Market. This is Grain Sack Sampler. Such a fun reproduction piece. Mom gifted me this original sampler for Christmas in 2019. It was my very first antique sampler and the first one that I reproduced. And what's really cool about this, let me see if I can get closer. I have a lot of stuff around here, is that this original was stitched on what I believe is an old grain sack, because it has the seams, the stripes on the original, and I wanted to reproduce that on the reproduction. So you'll see that here, and I just think it's a really nice touch, and I love the look that it gave. This was stitched by Stacy Walker, my amazing model stitcher, and then I added the banding, that's what it's called, the banding, after I got it back. And then lastly, from Market 2020, we have, it's a biggie, How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. It's actually just called Loved by You. And I was inspired by all of the wood farmhouse style signs to make this oversized piece. It's actually quite a quick stitch, but it's framed in an 11 by 17 prefab frame. So it's very much like a sign you can hang on the wall. And it's the first of a couple pieces that I've done like this. Very well received, and was excited to kind of bring my love of home decor to my new love of cross stitching. And with that, we have Market 2020. Looking forward to Market 2021 already. All right, let's fast forward to May and my 4 new releases for May. Give me just 1 second. All right, in May, we saw the first day of Christmas sampler and tree. And it was the beginning of the series. I had no intentions whatsoever of doing a series with this. I was just gonna do the one tree, because remember how we talked about earlier that I had done punch needle trees of these guys? Well, the punch needle series were these 3. And I put these out first, and everybody said, what about the partridge in a pear tree? And I said, okay. And I did it in May, and it was the beginning of the whole thing. So when I went to chart the tree, I just kind of instinctually charted in rectangle format, and realized if I had put all the time into charting a sampler, essentially, I might as well stitch a sampler, essentially. So that's how we came to get the tree and sampler version of all the days of Christmas, which I have continued to do throughout the series. So that's how that came to be, and I brought the first day of Christmas to the market. In addition to that, I also released Aloft, which to this day I think is one of the coolest pieces that I've released. I'm surprised that it hasn't been more popular, if I'm being totally honest, because I think this technique is really something. And by technique, I mean that this is actually two different pieces of linen layered together. So the round view from the telescope that you see of the hot air balloons launching above Paris is stitched on Arctic linen from Picture This Plus, I believe. It's all listed on the chart. And then it is stitched on top of fog linen from Picture This Plus. And I just love the overall effect. I think I will do more of this in the future, and maybe it was just this subject matter that people weren't drawn to. I don't know, but I really, really, really love this piece. It also tells a story. It is the history of the first hot air balloon, which launched above Paris in 1783 by the Montgolfier brothers, I believe. The information's also on the back of the chart, but that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing the telescope, the coinage you would put to watch something happen through the telescope, and then the scene of France. That is Aloft. Did I say that that's Aloft? This is Aloft. I had another reproduction in May, and that was called the Red R Sampler. It was my first time stitching anything with this sort of detailing, and I really enjoyed it. I've come to love that sort of detailing. It was an adjustment to get used to. It's not confetti stitching, but it's similar to that, like here's 2 squares of this color, 1 of that, 2 here, So this is the Red R Sampler. Also done on what looked almost like a grain sack. So instead of doing the same banding that I did in Grain Sack Sampler, this is just a row of red and blue striping on either side to replicate the original piece. This was my first time doing Algerian eyelet stitches and 4-sided stitches, and I kind of love 4-sided stitches very much. Not as much as I like the rice stitch though. But this was just a lot of firsts for me and a really special piece. There is a Sal for this piece going on, hashtag Red R Sal, hosted by my friend Shannon. That's that. And then I have Flowers Always. This is another like oversized Syne-like piece. I must have flowers always, and always is a Claude Monet quote. You're probably familiar with Claude Monet paintings, water lilies, water gardens, stuff like that. So I just stitched that up into this big old sign. Flowers Always. Okay, May. June, I had a mini release because I released big batches of designs every other month. But in June, I had just a tiny, tiny little release, and it was for these 2 trees, my kind of summer, well, they were my summer trees, and I wanted to get them out into the market in time for people to stitch for the 4th of July if they chose. So this is the Stars and Stripes tree. Look at that red pear thread from Weeks Dye Works. It is so gorgeous in there. This is a great piece if you are like stitching with friends because it's pretty mindless. It's just perfect for that. And then Birdies quilt tree, which is one of my favorite quilt trees. Uses all of the same color, so it's that red pear for the birds. And I think this is really special. So that was my mini June release batch. Then July came. Okay. I am literally in a sea of samplers. July came, and with July, I released the Spanish Rose Sampler. This is a reproduction for a piece in my collection. And what I really loved about this was when I did the research on the text, because I don't speak Spanish and I didn't know what it said, but loosely translated, it is something like from Maria de Frosa, that's her name, and it says de manos. I know that's not correct pronunciation, but that translates to by hand. So I loved that sentiment even more than I loved stitching this piece, and I was able to stay really, really true to all of the colors in the original with this piece. At the time that I'm filming this, December 2020, I am restitching this in a monochromatic color palette, and it's really interesting to see how colors change a piece. So stay tuned for that. But that is the Spanish Rose reproduction sampler. I also put out, there's a little fuzz on here, Sally's Shore, another reproduction sampler, and kind of, I was gonna say intense in stitching, in the same way that the motifs in the red are was intense, in that there's a lot of color changes and a lot of attention to detail must be paid. But how beautiful is this Victorian reproduction with that big conch shell? Is it a conch shell? Seashell in the center. It was really fun stitch. The color palette was very new for me, and I like it, as I should. This is Sally's Shore. Then, we're getting through it, guys. We are getting through it. Something that you no doubt have seen in July, I also released Quaker Pumpkins. And can we just look at this color palette real quick? This was stitched with Weeks Dye Works, over-dyed threads, and they were a joy to stitch with. So this piece features all traditional Quaker motifs that I plopped a stem on, put some Quaker stars in the sky, and completed as a Halloween piece. It says All Hallows Eve because you can read and you see that. If you are interested in stitching this, but the All Hallows Eve does not resonate with you, Megan of Georgia Girl Stitching recharted the words to say Autumn Harvest, I believe that's what it is. I will link her below. She is offering that charting up if you would like to stitch it. Her version is just gorgeous, but Quaker Pumpkins. Along with Quaker Pumpkins came 2 more trees. Forgive me, I don't have enough tree bases. So I'm doing some shuffling real quick. Pretend like you didn't see that. My autumn trees, it was a series of 2. This is Pumpkin Quilt Tree. Look at those white pumpkins on there. And Autumn Tree, which just kind of has all of the motifs of the fall season. Those squirrels, ooh, those acorns, very sweet. And with that, the autumn trees, that rounded out the seasonal tree series. Done. I also released Did I say that the autumn tree series came in September? They came in September along with these designs. The second day of Christmas tree and sampler. The second day of Christmas is my true love gift. 2 turtle doves, which is the symbol of friendship. So so the houses at the bottom have the initials of all of my nearest and dearest friends and family. So the little Christmas village down there represents friendship to me, as does the 2 turtle doves. That's the second day of Christmas. Sleepy Hollow. I like this piece. It came out so differently than I imagined and I originally sketched, but I love it. Creepy, haunty, the color palette too. Really into that. This says Sleepy Hollow established 1664, which is accurate. That is when the town in New York was founded. And that was the last of my, Halloween autumnal. This is the last of my Halloween autumnal pieces. It is Hocus Pocus from one of my all-time favorite movies, Hocus Pocus. And it says it's just a bunch of Hocus Pocus, stitched by my dear Frankia. And just another one of the like Syne, farmhouse Syne pieces. And that brings us to my latest batch of releases, which came out November 1st. Let me pull them a little closer. For you, I have to fix something. The third day of Christmas, which is 3 French hens. So we have the tree and the sampler version. To kind of make this French, because it's 3 French hens, we did the French blue coloring on the hens, the word Noël, which is French for Christmas, and some mistletoe, which does grow in France. So there's the third day of Christmas. I also did the Quaker Snowflakes, which is the exact same pattern stitched in 2 different ways. I still don't know which one I like more. They're so different, but the same pattern. So Quaker Snowflakes. And then lastly, of the whole year, we have a Pleasant Sampler, which weirdly was probably the piece I had the most trouble with the whole year, but really wanted to stick with because I liked the sentiment at the bottom. So let me give you kind of a rundown. This sampler is a reproduction of one in my collection, and it uses rice stitch, 4-sided stitch, Algerian eyelet stitch, cross stitch, and over 1 stitching for the bottom, which reads, "How pleasant it is at the end of the day, no follies to have to repent, but reflect on the past and be able to say, my time has been properly spent." And I just like that kind of speaks to that feeling that you have when you get in bed at the end of a really good day and you're just like, I want to do this day all over again. It was so good. And I like that kind of brings that to my mind. I also like the simplicity of just the 2 sprigs of foliage down there. So that was a Pleasant Sampler. And I think that's it. That rounds out my 2020. Wow, you guys, what a year. That is 37 releases this year. I look forward to bringing you so many more in 2021. If you're interested in anything that I've shared here or have any questions, please let me know. You can find both paper copies and PDF copies, versions of all of my designs in my shop right now, ready to be purchased. I will link it below. And I hope that you have enjoyed this virtual trunk show, look back, year in review, whatever you want to call it. It has been a true joy. It really has. And I hope that you liked looking back. We'll do this every year for sure. And a giant thank you for watching, and all the best.